Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. It is week one of the Varsity playoffs for the Spring 2021 split. My name is Morgan Palmer, and welcome to the Amazon University esports CSGO tournament brought to you by the new and, of course, our lovely sponsors at Twitch Student, Logitech G, and Unite Students. Novocaine, my co-host, or that way, actually, is Zach. How you doing?
Hi there. It's great to be here again. And I think we've got some fantastic games coming up today. And I think more importantly, we're going to look at the teams that have made it so far out of that group stage that happened. Well, last week was the last one. At the top, of course, we got the half-natty head tappers of Lancaster University. They beat out the UWEC Stags, the one that won back in winter, of course. Bath A coming in third. Derby Gods below them. Oxford Brooks Vipers even lower than that in fifth place. Swansea Storm White in sixth. Back sixth and seventh, and BU and a half men in eighth. Of course, the universities all next to those names as well, just in case you're wondering which universities these are if you're tuning in for the first time. And Nova, you've got something to say about those top two, don't you?
Oh yeah, the top two are definitely ones to watch. The half-natty head tappers, and of course the UEC Stags, both incredible players on both sides. Different styles of Counter-Strike as well, I think we'd talk about. Especially UE, very frag heavy. You know, Crit and Magic, two players who are now on Xenex, your favourite team.
Yeah, both play for Xenex.
Yeah, so they're playing in the ESL Prem and, you know, definitely playing at an incredibly high level. And then on the opposite side, Lancaster, there's this more team strategy-wise and more strategy-heavy style. So when these two teams clash, it's incredible. But they are our two favourites. But it's anybody's game. It's Counter-Strike. You know, anyone can win. Of course, this playoffs will have its own format. It's double elimination. We're going to start with round one, which will be a best of one, followed by best of threes all the way up to the grand final, which will be best of five. There is a loser's bracket, as I said, double elimination. So these teams, even if they lose in this first round, they can make a lower bracket run. With best of threes all the way up, it is going to be hard.
Yeah, absolutely. That best of one as well, a little bit more unpredictable. And as soon as you lose it, you fall into that lower bracket. So team's got a lot to play for very early on. Speaking of a lot to play for, two teams that have a lot to prove coming in third and sixth in the standings there. That was Bath and Swansea coming up today as our first matchup. Some fantastic players on those teams and some real individual standout performers on Bath as well. We've got players like Rico, Kaon on that lineup. Superb players on their own, but as a team as well, propelling themselves up to third place. Got a lot of strength on the side.
A lot of strength. Of course, they're against the Swansea Storm White side. Swansea, just a fantastic university esports society. You know, I've been around in this scene for like 4 years now, and they consistently pump out top teams in across every game. You know, so certainly whatever their methodology is, it pumps out consistently good teams. And Swansea Storm White is by no mean feat. They finished, you know, respectably. Where did they finish overall? How did they finish? They finished in sixth overall, so not terrible, but near that bottom end. But at this stage, with this top 8 teams, like we said, it's anybody's game. Anybody can win it. Anybody can really beat anybody, apart from the top 2. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We should hopefully be getting map bans. We were discussing a little bit earlier, Zach, about what kind of maps we might expect to see in the best of one, because this is a little less predictable, you know, 6 bans across the board. One thing that surprised us was what map is getting picked more than some of the other ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Dust 2 we've seen has been picked only 4 times across the whole event, or in this top bracket, I should say. So those top 12 teams in the country, they were the ones that decided Dust 2 was not a map they wanted to play on. We've actually seen more Vertigo games than we have seen Dust 2 at 5. Of course, Inferno, the number 1 map played at the moment. I think it was somewhere around 12 or 14 games at that top level. So teams tending to actually stray away from the map that is more pug heavy and moving more towards that kind of mix between the aim and the tactics in an Inferno match.
Yeah, so more strategizing, more relying less on fragging capabilities, you said. You know, the two sides we're sort of looking at, Bath, their top map played is Mirage, with 4 times that they've played that out of out of 10 games. So not, only 40%, but still, compared to the fact that their map pool seems to be Nuke, Overpass, Vertigo, Mirage, and Inferno, it seems to be certainly heavier towards Mirage, which is the more puggy style. As we look at their opposite number, Swansea Storm, a little more over towards Overpass and Nuke, preferring that strategy heavy side. I could well see actually an Overpass coming out, the fact that it seems to be the favourite spot. But if I was Bath 8, I'd probably try and remove both those maps, force Swansea to try and ban out Dust 2 and Train, because neither team play these, and see if we can land on maybe Inferno or Mirage.
Yeah, absolutely. You just highlighted it there. Neither team has played Dust 2 across the entirety of that group stage. Neither team seems comfortable on it. Swansea played Train, haven't played Train at all. Bath, I think, only played it once or twice. So both looking, I think, for an Overpass game, probably an Inferno game, is most likely what we're going to see, something in that middle of the line sort of thing. Of course, Swansea, a team that have a lot of capability to them. We've mentioned this already, but not actually topping the ADR charts at the moment. Has a up at near the top, but the rest of them sort of somewhere around the middle. Seeing that they finished, number 6th university in the country, you'd think maybe they'd be doing a little bit better. They were, they've played well, but not been the most incredible as individuals. Definitely more of a strong unit altogether. So they will be looking to ban probably and move towards Nuke. You highlighted that one earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, they'll try, but I highly doubt Bath A is going to try and let them get through to a comfort map like that. I think, if I'm, like I said, if I'm them, first 2 maps I insta-ban is Nuke and Overpass. Just get rid of them and try and take the gamble that they're going to probably ban out Dust 2 and Train, because they don't play them, even though Bath A themselves don't either. Otherwise, we might land on them and neither team knows how to play the map, and they've just gambled and hope that the other team ban them instead. So it's going to be quite interesting how that plays out. We should be able to get, hopefully, map vetoes, or at least the map we're playing very soon, from our... Still waiting on it. So from our admin team, but that should be anytime soon. I don't know expectations going to this. I know the map is so dependent on how we can call this, but from sort of a firepower point of view, where do you feel these two teams sit relative to each other?
I mean, absolutely, Bath are the better team of the two. They finished higher for a reason. I think they got 6 wins across the games that they played, so they had a higher than 50% win percentage across that group stage. So they are likely the better team. They have the better players, if I'm being honest, from my point of view. But anything can happen with the map bans. Usually some of these teams, they take chances, especially when they look at it and they think it's a best of one. They can maybe get away with it if they take a little bit of a chance and allow a map like Vertigo to sit around in the ban list a little bit longer. I think the other team are going to ban it out, and then surprise, surprise, actually Swansea have prepped that and they're ready for it. So one of the ones where honestly the map bans could be pretty vital when it comes down to which team wins.
One of the players who's, I think you highlighted him earlier, Hazard, as standout. He is one of the leaders kill-wise in the current CSGO split in spring. He's actually, I think, 2nd on the board just behind Crit. So definitely the team relies maybe quite a little bit heavier on certain players than others instead of having a more even spread of firepower. But we generally see that in strategy-heavy sides when they focus on maps like Nuke and Overpass, and something where you can actually use individual prowess to just one-up other teams and trump them. This is a kind of a tale as old as time. It's, Na'Vi is the perfect example of a very top-heavy team fragging-wise, but they use it to their advantage. They move their key players around the map and then try and use strategy to overcome that. Doesn't always work out for Na'Vi, not able to come through at any majors, but it certainly is a viable strategy, and it does work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things definitely about Nuke, is that ADR will be a little bit more stacked in favor of the whole team as opposed to a single player. But of course, I'm hearing in my ear that vetoes are about to come up on the screen now, so we are ready to, instead of wildly speculating about what's to come, we get to actually look at it. If you want to take us through that one, Novi.
There we go. Exactly what I thought would happen. Swansea and Dust banning Swansea and Dust, Swansea and Buffet banning Train and Dust. Both of these teams do not like these maps. No surprise that they get rid of it immediately. Buffet, of course, you remember me saying that Mirage is their most played map. Understandable, Swansea remove it. Buffet reply with Overpass, one of their most played maps for Swansea side. Inferno. Buffet should get rid of Nuke here, I would imagine. It should be Nuke. Oh, okay. Not deciding on Vertigo, so not risking it, even though they have played it, and deciding on Nuke. This, actually, even though Buffet, I'd say, are favourites going into this matchup, they've played Nuke once. Swansea have played it 3 times.
The map definitely favours Swansea.
Yeah, I think it's kind of playing into Swansea a bit. I mean, both of these sides have played Vertigo once, but both choosing to ignore it. So I think Swansea played that really smart. I'm optimistic now for Swansea.
And like I said about teams taking chances in the veto, they left it for Vertigo and Nuke at the very end. A map, a couple of maps that you rarely see left till the end of both of them. So very interesting from Bathé to, I would say, anti-strat in a way against Swansea, but then leave 2 maps that, well, one map that they definitely don't want to play in Vertigo, and then another map that they're definitely at a disadvantage on in Nuke. So we'll see how it plays out for them. Of course, this is all wild speculation. Bathé could be the strongest team we've ever seen on Nuke. They play it once just to hamper themselves a little bit, but Swansea Storm should probably have the advantage.
But they're going to be walking into stiff opposition. Bathé, like you said earlier, third on the table for a reason. Very strong players on this roster. A lot of fragging potential. It's going to be difficult for Swansea Storm White. The whole team is going to have to deliver and win their ones. So if there is a disparity in fragging capability on this team, that it's not less so top heavy and it's not left all on the shoulders of 1 or 2 players. That's super, super important. If Swansea want to come through, although it certainly, I think it certainly helps them. Just looking through at their stats of what they've done so far. So they're currently, Swansea is 2-1 on Nuke so far, only dropping 1 to B.5 men, and that was in overtime as well. I think we casted that game, actually, if I cast my mind back. So even with that 1 loss, that was a very close loss. So this team is certainly confident and capable on this map.
Absolutely. I mean, 2 of their 3 games have gone to overtime, actually, looking through it. They played against Kebab Rocher and then lost in overtime to them. Won in overtime 25-21, which is going to be a bit disappointing for Kebab Rocher, especially after such a long game. But maybe the overtime factor might play in a little bit here. Of course, we're talking about how strong they are on this map. If they're losing or taking to overtime a couple times, then maybe not quite as strong as I was suggesting earlier on. And Bathé did play this against Half Natty Head Tappers, of course, the team that did end up winning that group stage, if you cast your mind back to that table, and lost 16-5. So actually, looking at the stats, Bathé very poor on this map in comparison to Swansea Storm White.
Yeah, bad track record. Got slapped about a bit by the Lancaster side. So not too great for them, but there's little victories. I say little victories. That depends if Rowan can actually win this knife round. Instead, he's just kind of just running around. He can still win this for knife. Usually knife round doesn't really matter, but on on a map like this, actually, it's quite important. Starting that CT side is still advantageous and can give you a nice little boost to get that round differential. So rather than starting from behind and having to recover, you can get ahead, and you just need to push yourself over the finish line when you get to that T side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really hate this 1v1 server. It's just made the game worse for me, but there you go. Get to watch that. It looks like we've had a player disconnect from the server, so you get to hear us talk about the pre-game a little bit more, but have we actually seen which side has been picked by either side yet?
It will have to be CT. I can't imagine they'll pick anything other than CT or Nuke, unless they've got the biggest amounts of confidence ever to go T side or Nuke. I highly doubt it. I'd expect them to stick with CT. One player, though, on the Swansea Storm side, we were saying that Barthay, of course, favourites going in this. We highlighted Hazard. The other players, Aerostratus, had some exceptional performances of stepping up for the side and with some insane amounts of clutches. Like a truly clutch player who could step up for the team. So Aerostratus is certainly one player to watch out for on that Swansea side. And here we go. Should be getting into the first round. Yep, Barthay have chosen the CT side. And Swansea Storm White are going to have to deal with the terrorist side instead.
And wild speculation, but obviously the CT side, the easier of the two to work from, looking to get a 9-6. So if Bathé can manage to get up to that score line, they should be in a little bit of a better space. A lot of this map, all about constricting the area that Swansea Storm will have to work with. The T side, of course, going to struggle a little bit more if they don't have control of certain areas like ramp. Pushing up on outside might be useful every few rounds, but it's University Counter-Strike. Anything can happen at any point. You know, people can pull up some wild plays out of nowhere and it works out. Of course, we've seen players like Crit and like Magic have incredible amounts of freedom across the maps, and they've posted some very, very good score lines across the event, even despite the fact they've not finished first. They've been dispatched by Lancaster. It just shows how good these players can be if they're given the freedom that University CS allows.
Seems like we're having potential problems for the Barthay side. One of their players just disconnecting, and hopefully they can fix whatever issue they're having, whether it's internet, PC, what have you. It's typical. It's CS things. Of course, we wouldn't be starting on time. Don't be silly. But of course, there's a lot to play for. As you said, it's round one. It's a best of one in this playoff series, and of course, the loser straight into the lower bracket. And this is a long, long format. Just looking at the amount of rounds played. So you've got your round one, round two, round three, and then the grand final. So there's essentially how many rounds? If you lose this first one, you've got to win 4 rounds of losers to get into the grand final. That is 4 best of threes. That is a lot, potentially, you know, and then plus the grand final as well. That's just very draining mentally, as well as the time and effort to prepare. And also for your opponents, if they're in the upper bracket, loser bracket, of course, has to play more games. That's more information you might be able to garner from them if they're playing on stream, and you can watch their games back in their VODs, study them. So it can certainly give some advantage to the more strat-heavy sides who prefer to counter-strat and like to scout ahead of their games. But Barthay, finally, the full roster is back in game, so we should be starting soon. Hopefully, whatever issues there were have been fixed. We should be getting to this one real soon.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, there's only so much we can talk about this game before we actually see the thing. Of course, these teams, very, very potent. 6th and 3rd in the country as the university teams that they are. Of course, there are a couple of problems when you constrict yourself, or restrict yourself rather, to just University CS. They sometimes have to pick up a weaker player here and now, but Swansea Storm and Bathé haven't been hampered by that at all, of course. 5 very strong players on both lineups. So should be starting just now. 5 seconds left into the round. All armor coming out for the Swansea Storm side. Peon picking up a smoke and a kit, just in case, might be able to pull off the incredible with a fantastic ninja defuse. Of course, speaking a little bit in advance there. And Swansea Storm look like they're going to be pushing into ramp early on.
Early ramp aggression, but no, just getting sort of some footsteps towards Radio and Trophy, and actually coming back as one of their players. Okay, this round isn't live. We're trying to look at the stats, the strats of what's going on, but apparently it's not live. We're getting baited once more. We just want to get started. We want to get into this game. Now it's going to be very excited. Another player has problems. Wacky. He's disconnected. So at least it's even. Maybe they can play it out 4 versus 4. You know, if both sides are having connection issues or what have you, at least get the game going. Come on, guys.
We need to get Keto in the server.
Yeah, if you've got a coach, sub them in. Sub me in, coach. No, it's come on. We should hopefully, as we said, get back into it soon. We talked about how that impacts into the standings into lower bracket, but conversely, on the winner's side, going into it from upper bracket form, you sort of have that. One, you have that reliability of, yes, you can always drop a game or a series and drop back in, drop back down to a lower bracket, and it gives you that, not freedom, but that safety net just in case. Oh, a different player is leaving. Scribs this time. So
Very fun.
Swansea's killing their own terrorists at this point. They're just getting rid of their own team. But yeah, if you're staying in the upper bracket, you've got that freedom, and you can it gives you that confidence to play a bit looser. Sometimes we see when it's a do or die situation, teams freeze up because they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to be the player who causes their team to bow out the tournament. In upper bracket, you've got a second chance. You've got a second life. So it can certainly help. Wacky is back in the server, and this time, hopefully, fingers crossed, we will actually start this time now that all the players are in the server. We'll have to see. University of Bath versus Swansea University. Bath A versus Swansea Storm Whites. And as you said, the standard CT setup, four armors, Kevlar, and then one player with diffuse and smoke. Very, very standard. It's what you often don't see at lower elo, but I'm glad we see it in the university scene. Just buying that kit gives you that freedom. Not necessarily freedom, but the sort of security to the time pressure. The bomb does go down. You have that little bit more time that you can play around with and potentially find a kill if that's the case. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, your Varsity playoffs have kicked off. It took us a while to get there in the end, but at least we're started. It's Bath A versus Swansea Storm Whites.
Absolutely. And speaking of that kit as well, on a map like Nuke, where it's a lot more compact, a lot smaller, they're able to pick it up a lot easier and run in. But Rico might be able to pull off the impossible here, hiding in the corner, peeks out from the side and just can't quite get it done. All of the Swansea Storm players rushing all over Rowan at the moment, can't quite get anything from that position. Rico now spamming still, not looking towards him, and it's a 3 versus 4 all of a sudden on the retake for Bath A.
Hazard's trying to play aggressive in the post-mine position, but I think he's being shot from behind. Was he? Or from a different angle? I'm not quite sure. Rico is going to be sitting up the ramp, but he's not able to really find anything. This is really, really nice from Swansea. They've got the post-mine position. In the cubby, Merlin actually beats out Rico, and Kaon is left in a clutch situation to try and pick this back from Bath A. That was almost a headshot, a jumping headshot. He's not able to convert it. Kaon, Merlin was one shot away from dying. Swansea Storm White pick up the first round. Merlin with a 3K.
And Rico letting the side down a little bit from that hidden position. Of course, being baited by baiting his teammate. Of course, consensual in that way, so that he could get the kills and just fluffing every single one of his lines until the very end there. Somehow Swansea didn't notice it, but we're going to see a full smoke setup coming out. All of it smoked so that they can push into secret. Rico not seeing anything here, hiding behind credit card with his P250. And all of the Swansea Storm players rushing in. Ethan got a lot to do with this USP.
A lot to do. Not able to find any headshots. Aerostratus is just going to run over. There we go. The head of Aerostratus gets just decapitated off. Ethan is going to play close to Decon. He's going to spray through. It's not enough. Lucky Zip is the one to pick up the kill. Vornes is on the flank from the control room. That's easy pickings for the Swansea side. Rico is playing close ankle. Vornes will not check it. This time Rico won't miss. It's a little bit haphazard. He picks it up Hazard as well, and it looks really good for Swansea, but still they've bled out quite a bit. 2 players going down and AK given over to Rico. I'm not going to say it's doable because bomb is down. There's still 3 players remaining, but you can at least keep this AK-47 into the next round. It's kind of worth the tease trying to chase this one down. There's a potential buy Bath A can come out with, especially the fact that they've basically full ecoed, especially around this AK. And if Rico can stay alive and hold it, you can see Swansea is just chasing them down. Merlin jumps and headshots him, shuts it down. Bath A fall behind by 2 rounds.
Would it be fair to call this one messy Counter-Strike early on? Novi?
It's not messy Counter-Strike, it's jumping Counter-Strike. This is new meta. You don't try and, your first thing you're taught when you play Counter-Strike is don't move and shoot. And Merlin has other things on his mind. He's like, why don't you jump and shoot? It works. It's not going to work for his team this time. I say that. Aerostratus just runs in with the MAC-10. No head armor, and some of these players from Barfay forced by it. A really strong buy for the Swansea Storm side. Really clever, actually. Be able to abuse the lack of head armor. Now Rico, Rowan, and Peon left to try and salvage this for the retake. Yes, it's a 3-on-3, but the weaponry is just not great for it. There's an AWP, it's not going to be suitable. Rico has to back off, and Swansea go up 3 rounds on a map that I think definitely favours them. Barfay might be kicking themselves for not forcing it onto Vertigo.
Definitely struggling at the moment, Bath. They've got no idea of how to hold these sites. A rush as well from Swansea. Really caught them a little bit by surprise. Rico with no armor, never going to be able to retake at that point. The AWP already a difficult weapon to retake without armor. I mean, peeking angles becomes almost impossible at that point. You see it at the very top level, but I don't think Rico had the feeling in him at that point to try and take them all on. And Swansea come into this one with, once again, a pretty eco-heavy buy. Vornez saving in with the Galil. Aerostratus showing no respect with the MAC-10, and Rico the only one that purchases with his armor just to keep himself alive a little bit better. And now Aerostratus just sprinting in, trying to take this B site, jumping and shooting over and over again. And Rowan not going to be able to hold it at all. And Vornez just hiding in this corner, waiting for the players to run past him. Looks away at just the wrong time, but still gets Peon. Maybe not going to be ready for a second and a third player. And Rico takes the head clean off of Vornez. Ethan somehow sneaked through into window room. And Aerostratus got a lot to do here. Gets the headshot on the first player, gets the headshot on the second player, mopping them up, and they know exactly where Ethan is at the moment. These 2 Swansea Storm players that are left alive, just going to be hunting him down, making sure that he can't save that weaponry in the Deagle into the next round, make sure that he's not going to be able to pick up an AK to save even more money for the Bathay side. And Ethan knows that he's done, knows that he's dusted, but going to be greeted by Aerostratus with the Glock, and he doesn't even need an advanced weapon. Just going to spray him down in the head at close range. And Bathay still 0 rounds, and Swansea Storm rack up their 4th.
Aerostratus, fantastic player for Swansea. Certainly a player to look out for. And this is a really, really solid start for Swansea. Of course, remember, they're on T-side and it's Nuke. Certainly more balanced than it used to be. But still, as many terrorist sides that they can win, rounds they can win on this side, the better. Aerostratus wins out on his opposite number. The Orpa and Barfay is just taken out so quickly. Pion's going to spray through the smoke. Finds the legs of Aero. But it's not really enough. And they're just going to storm on towards B. And I don't think Barfay can do much to stem this tide of Swansea players that's about to come out of decon. He's going to try and tap away. Merlin trades back immediately. Unfortunately, they lost a player, but they're fine with this. It's a 2-on-4, and Swansea get the bomb down once more.
Bathay have done a very poor job in these full buy rounds of keeping the flow stopped from Swansea Storm. They've just been able to rush out very early on. And Kaon maybe going to get caught unawares by Vornez as he pushes through onto ramp. A fantastic little play. And Kaon, honestly, should have been ready for that at least somewhat. The timing not quite working out for him in that situation. Swansea Storm going to rack up a 5th. Just nothing Bathay can do.
Going to be able to say this AWP. Oh, not if he whiffs. Quite an easy shot like that. He's going to be kicking himself. He flashes out. And this is what having a best of one right at the start of the day is kind of tricky with, because if you're not warmed up, certainly we're saying Barfay is a team of fraggers and they're not performing at the level we'd expect apart from Rico. And so if you're not fully warmed up in a best of one, you know, it's a best of 3. Yeah, you can throw the first map. I mean, you'd never want to, but still, at least there's 2 more maps you can play to try and win the series. This is a best of 1. There is no safety net. There is no second chance. Your second chance is dropping into the lower bracket, and this time Barfay replies in kind, actually finding first blood, but it seems like it's not going to be enough. It's still, the Swansea Storm is blitzing onto the site. The lightning strikes. It's not going to strike twice for Rico. He's trying to find a shot through the smoke and nothing comes of it. Rowan's going to try and push through. I think he should hear the bomb planting there, but Wacky is going to be looking in the wrong direction. Doesn't matter. Hazard is on the flank. Rico is waiting with the AWP, and that might be a 6th round for Swansea.
Bathe maybe going to take solace in the fact that they at least get a full round loss bonus, but difficult really to see any positives so far in this game. Of course, they do have 4 timeouts. These teams have shown time and time again that they don't like using them, though, so maybe we won't see any, but they really should be considering using one, especially as they go 6-0 down. Rico just dusting them off at the end, trying to make the best of a bad situation. Of course, the T's usually can buy back into this one. There shouldn't be too much of an issue. Aerostratus actually going to continue pushing Rico. Doesn't want him to save that weapon. Doesn't want it to happen.
And look at the economy on the side of the terrace. Aerostratus almost maxed out his cash. He's doing absolutely great finance-wise. Man should just start picking up some stocks, some investments with the amount of cash he's got. Maybe he's got some Bitcoin, who knows? Up to Squeaky Hazard goes. Can use the smoke to just get rid of the Molotov and drop down the vent. Nicely done, and there's no reaction from the CTs. I don't think Hazard had a diffuser there, but now it's something that Barthay really has to consider. Okay, vent got popped. There could have been a player dropped. We've got to respect that. And now Swansea's going to take control of lobby and presumably try and meet up with their player who dropped. Hazard's going to try and find a flank. You can see that there is an X-ray of a CT player underneath. He's going to be looking around, but Hazard's actually potentially going to flash out his team from Squeaky. That was really nicely done up the vent, but Ethan and Peon are waiting. This has gone really, really badly for Swansea. Maybe a bit of a miss by Ethan. Dropped behind the door. Fornes didn't see him. Ethan somehow survives. Merlin with the magic. He spins round, but it's not enough. His magic finally runs out. His mana bar going low. Rico comes through and puts Bar off onto the board.
Finally, Bath get around, and we do see a timeout coming from Swansea Storm. Bath 8 haven't called one themselves, but Swansea pick one as soon as they lose that round, and that's what I do like to see. Oh, it's actually a technical because a player disconnected. I take that one back, of course. It is not a tactical timeout, but players shouldn't really be talking in the technicals, so just going to wait for the player to rejoin. But Swansea Storm being far the better team so far, as a team, as a unit, and just been finding those tiny leaks that Bathe have. They've been able to either send one player through that we saw that round and exploit a little bit of a defensive weakness, or they've been just ramming themselves at full speed into a Bathe lineup that isn't ready for them. Of course.
Bathe. Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're all right. Swansea Storm have shown, I mean, this whole game that they finished number 3 for a reason, of course. Bathe finishing number 6 in the entirety of the UK, and they've not really had much to say so far this game. That one gifted to them a little bit that round, considering the players just sprinted through a smoke, not ready for a player on top of hut, which is a pretty normal position for players to hang out on. So just a little bit of an oversight, and players, losing 3 players in the round, it really should be a bit concerning for Bath.
Swansea at least have built up that momentum of being able to find 6 rounds on T side. Like we said, not the same old nuke where getting 3 rounds was okay. Getting 2 rounds was okay on T side, really. 3 rounds if you got the pistol round, like that was good if you could manage that. Now, more equal, but certainly a 9, like let's say Bath A win the next 8 rounds on the trot. 9-6 is very respectable half a nuke for Swansea, and a bit poor for Bath A. If Swansea can string together any rounds, if they can win this half, honestly, they look in a good position to actually just run away with this game.
Absolutely, and I still remember talking about old nuke. I think it was Virtus Pro. They 16-0'd. Was it? I think Fallen was playing for them at the time. There was a Brazilian org just before they moved to. Just before they all moved away, the Brazilians, I can't quite remember what org it was, but absolutely annihilated them way, way back. It's about 5-6 years ago now, but one round certainly not going to be good enough for Bath, especially on this new map, and we go straight back into the action. Swansea Storm coming out swinging as well. The smoke's coming outside, and Of course, Bath A, only one player to line up on it. Not realizing there's only two there, so actually pretty good in the lack of rotation. They've in fact backed off a little bit and allowed Swansea Storm the space, which Swansea in return aren't taking, just moving back themselves.
Swansea, of course, had a sort of rushed strategy onto A site. And as you so wonderfully point out, it just didn't work for them. They weren't checking positions that they should have been checking. That is a nice headshot by Rowan. And that might just force Swansea Storm White to have to back off. A second player falling down in the form of Hazard, one of their top players. Been a little bit quiet this time. Vornes actually finds the kill onto Rowan, but Rico's going to be waiting on the AWP. He won't miss this time. Vornes is slain. Aerostratus is going to start to push around. Might actually push through a smoke. Does Rico have a read on this? He is looking this way, but he's got to have his doubts. He might have to check outside. It's going about all the way back to CT spawn. He's so terrified of some kind of push through, but Aerostratus and Wacky have to come through on this one. Hell is open for them to use. But Rico is ready and waiting. He will not miss. Wacky is first to fall. Aerostratus whiffs the shot with the switching of weapons. He's out onto A site. He can drop. He could potentially just get the bomb down and get the money. For the case, his utility. He's going to get pushed by Kaon. He's going to step round, deny the plant, and Barfay managed to string two together.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Bath A. They've looked at what I was saying about them before the round, and they went, you know what, we can do a little bit better. We can show what we're worth. Yeah, only losing one player as well. Got to feel good for them. The money finally coming a little bit better. P on 3,000, K on 3,500. And even if they lose this one, which obviously they don't want to, they will be able to buy into the next.
Outside smokes, but Rico, he just sprayed on through and found Hazard. Aerostratus replies. Rowan's going to swing on out, and he's really started to warm up. He's been very quiet in the first, 6 rounds, but in the last 2, he's really started to get going. His motor's starting to move. Rico finds his 13th of the game. He's got over a 3 KD so far. Merlin's waiting in the control room, and he could potentially push up and flank, but it's going to be difficult. He opens the double doors, and that spells his demise. Vornes is waiting in decon. It's not really going to work out despite the plant. Okay, that's something. There's not much time left. There are kits on every single CT player. He just kind of has to survive and deny it. No, he doesn't. The bomb is defused just about. And Barfay come through a 3rd round in a row, and they trail by 3.
Yeah, Vornes not going to let that one go easily, but of course the Bath players know that they can just molly it off, smoke it, and then spam him as hard as they can down through the smoke. Again, only one player lost. Oh, no, sorry. 2 or 3, actually, on the Bath side. So, able to pull out still full utility, still the full M4s, and an AWP. And meanwhile, Swansea Storm forcing themselves onto a full eco, kind of a half buy into this one.
First time we've seen Swansea on the back foot this entire game. It's taken 10 rounds to get there. They're going to run out onto A, and they're just getting slaughtered. Ethan picks up 3, and that'll be it. That'll be the round. That was just... I mean, it was an eco round. It's basically a bonus one for Bath A. But it's got to feel good. Not a single player fell. Actually, no, I think Kaon fell. But only losing one player, that's fine for the CT side, especially at this point. They're going to be happy with that one. And 4 rounds, they're starting to get going. They're starting to get moving. And it's whether they can carry that momentum over. Now... outside smokes once again. Last time Rico found a gap in the smoke. The timing's not quite there on him. There's another one towards Secret, and he could find the legs of any of the T-side players trying to jump into Secret and rotate around, but Ethan is ready and waiting. Only got 9 kills. I say only got 9 kills. 9 kills to 8. So not phenomenal KD compared to Rico, but he certainly has been finding impact kills. He might choose to push through the smoke that they've put. No, there is a T-side player waiting for Vornes though. Because they've committed so heavily to Secret, they can't really rotate out, and they're just stuck in this little corridor. And you can see the rest of the CT players are rotating around to try and support them and trap them in. They've backed off a little bit, just waiting to see if that there's any space that can be gathered around the map if there's the T side have actually just left some people, because they weren't entirely sure how many people were rotating in secret. So they've got to consider maybe there's a player in lobby just waiting, which there was. There was Hazza. But now they've grouped back up, and it looks like Swansea are just going to come screaming on in. Peon's going to be waiting alongside Ethan, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Aristratus wins out. Fornes does as well. And that's beautiful stuff by Swansea. They can just run straight in onto the site. Rowan's going to be waiting, and he has to find multiple kills here. He's not able to find one, and now Hazard can come out to 8. Try and stem any kind of rotation through. It's not enough, but Rico with that AWP, he's going to get beaten out. Merlin's arisen. He's really stepping up for the side. 2 kills, 2 wonderful headshots. Kaon is forced to back off, and Buffet, they get kind of overrun. There's a crack in the bath, and the water is leaking, and Swansea's just taking every advantage that they can get. Just wonderful stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bathé looked like they were the better side in that one. They had players on both of the stairs as Swansea were going to push in. And suddenly, Swansea win it. Really poorly timed push coming out from, I think, Peon there. Was by the double doors and just let himself down a little bit by pushing forward. But, yeah, Swansea Storm winning that one, deservedly so. And it takes it to a 7-4 in their favour.
7-4, 7 rounds on T-side nuke. Just amazing. Like, really, really just solid performance by them. They've looked really good as a whole unit. Even when a couple of players aren't fragging, Merlin is huge for his team. Wacky's got like a 0.5 KD. It doesn't even matter when you've got players like that who will find every single kill and shot imaginable. The utility usage as well for the CTs who are just waiting to try and trap them onto one of these sites. You can see it there, just smoke off decon. You're stuck now, you have to wait. It gives them the freedom to get the bomb down, and that means Swansea Storm White can then move into their post-fight positions. Even though it's an even 4-for-4, this is going to be really difficult for the CTs. The time is ticking down. Hazza is controlling the stairs, but still there's so much utility still available. It's a double kill across the map. Merlin picks up a second as well. So that's 3 players down, and Rico's left with the AWP in control and just nowhere to go. He's going to get hunted down. He beat out Merlin. He tries to swing around for the second. Here's a player behind him. It's Aristratus. There's shots flying out everywhere, but Vornes is the one to find the kill. And Swansea Storm White, they've won the half 8-4. Now just remains how many rounds that they can pick up.
Yeah, and maybe some people are going to say, well, you know, nuke maybe can be T-sided sometimes. I promise you at this level, it really shouldn't be. You've got to feel sorry for Rico as well. He's playing out of his mind at the moment. 16-7, that's a 2.0 KD, just over. And struggling as a team at the moment. They're going to push outside as best they can. Of course, running into a double stack and a lot of nades coming over. Aristratus tries to take the fight, but Peon rips off his head from range with that deagle. Of course, better one-shot potential than the M4. And now, the Swansea Storm side, just 3 of them, trying to look for the kills. They're running right into the Swansea side, into the Bath side, though. Of course, Hazard maybe going to miss the player that's playing inside a secret. 2 of them, in fact, as they start spamming down long range with the deagles. They get 1, but can't quite get the second. 2 players going down for Bath in the meantime, and now it's a 3 versus 3 all of a sudden.
And Swansea were like, what do we do? I know, I'll just throw a grenade at them. Maybe that'll get the CT player to back off. It does, but of course they don't have that information. So they're going to choose to rotate back into lobby, it feels, and to try and get something to happen. Rowan's, I like this position on the stairs. It's not entirely expected for the T side. It's not a common position. It is very difficult to rotate from there just because you've got the wall right next to you. Your only position to swing back out is to the right, and that's quite predictable for the T side. Rowan is going to contest from hell and try and cause some kind of damage for the T side, but they should be able to get onto B site, no problem. And Rico on 17 kills so far is waiting. Make that 18. He's looking for the 19th. He's just tapping away. There we go. Can he find the 20th? There's 1 player remaining. Rico is doing everything. It's just Vornes left, and he's going to back off. He doesn't want the highlight reel. He gives it to Rowan. And Buffet, just as it looks like the game is slipping away from them, they win essentially an eco.
Rico doing work in that decontamination room, sorry. Incredible stuff, and just Swansea playing into his hands, static, trying to tap him down. And of course, with those shoulder peaks, with those slight peaks coming out from Rico, very difficult to tap him down. You've got to be dynamic in your movement. You have to be facing him a few people at a time. And instead, Swansea decide to feed him a couple more kills, and then Hazard giving him even more.
Opens things up. That's first blood drawn for the Bath A side, but Erostratus is always there to reply. He's sitting himself on a pretty scoreline, 10-7. And here's a player for Bath A who's been a little bit lackluster. Peon 3-9. Rico, their top fragger, on 20 kills. It's no longer in play. Peon gets beaten out by Vorne. There's not even a headshot for either of the players. Ethan's going to be playing on the back of Hut. He's just decapitated, decimated by Ethan. Kaon's going to swing out on Heaven, try and find one, but he burns in the flames alongside Wacky Zip. And Rowan is left just rotating through trophy, and he's kind of sitting here going, what? Where did my team go? How do we lose that? Swansea Storm White are about to get their 9th round on T-side Nuke as we go into the 15th round. This is looking rough for Bath. There's no pretty way to word this. This is dire straits for Bath right now. And
there's no way to say this, but Swansea, they're not reinventing the wheel here. They're just rushing onto sites. They wait, they're early, they just sit around very early on. And then they say, you know what, we'll go A. They run out through the doors and take the site as fast as they can. There's no better way to say it. Of course, coordinated flashes involved in that. Smokes, Molotovs to get rid of players from key angles that they're not able to get rid of. And Bath not doing all that much to stop it, because I'd like to see them moving in from different parts of the map, getting a little bit more control in certain areas. Did well when they took outside control, and they were smart to back away, but not often pushing for any information. And now Rowan going to be confronted by as many players on the team as possible. Wacky Zip gets the headshot on him after trading out, and now it's 4 versus 4. No nades at all on the Bath side to retake this site. They've lost it instantly. Smoke's going down on all the doors. Of course, the window room able to be held by Ethan. I think Swansea Storm should be ready for him to peek, though. Of course, this is the only angle that he can come in from, and instantly gets his head ripped off by Hazard. Fantastic stuff from him. Unfortunately, quick switches at just the wrong time, and Rico coming in from the doors. Can't get anything done. Now Kaon left in a 1 versus 3. All the Swansea players left with AKs, a couple nades on a few of them. And Kaon, just with this deagle, might be able to do something here. Spamming him down from range. Picks up the M4 just after getting that kill. Gets the headshot. And now Kaon in a 1 versus 1 might be able to get something done. But Merlin takes him down. And Swansea Storm win the half 10-5. A fantastic T-side. And Bath, they have to be disappointed with that.
It is not looking good for Bath A. Pistol round doesn't necessarily mean as much as it used to. However, they certainly want to at least pick up these rounds. They can't slipping away. 6 rounds away from Swansea Storm White winning in the round 1 of the Varsity playoff. Spring Split 2021. And Swansea certainly done their homework and certainly are warmed up. Bath A, a lot of their players leaving a little bit to be desired. Lobby control taken. This is a fairly passive hold. So now they're just going to be sort of containing themselves from these long angles. I like how Swansea is using Hell and sort of swinging out near the CT side. Merlin is trying to find these long angles. Of course, the USP far greater at this range, but still not easy. Very possible to be CSGO'd at this sort of like distance. Vornes is waiting inside Mini. There's a double kill. Merlin sort of enforces that from range. Ethan and Kaon are left towards B ramp to try and assemble something from this round, but it's not looking too good for them. And Swansea, they might just pick up their 11th. Merlin even has time to reload. Swansea Storm White looking very comfortable in a 2 versus 5. Kaon goes down. Bomb is dropped. Ethan can step in to try and get it. I guess Merlin is low. There we go. Headshot for good measure. Ethan, this is going to require an insane clutch and an ace. But there we go. Okay, if you hit headshots like that, I'm not gonna doubt you whatsoever. Ethan, spectacular shot he's picked up. Is that P250 in his hands? So good weapon, certainly good at range. He does a 360 jump. Tries to do it with style. It's not enough. Swansea Storm White, 11 rounds. They win the pistol round. And Bath A, that gap is ever increasing for them.
With the time on the clock as well, 25 seconds. It would have to be a miracle for anything to be done there. Choosing as well not to force into this round. Of course, if they did decide to do that, they'd only have armor, Tech 9s, Deagles probably, but deciding to show Swansea a little bit more respect. Definitely going to be pulling out the AKs on the next round, though. Actually, advancing very quickly on Merlin outside. Gets dinked there, but through the wall, so it's not too much damage against him. I say that his head's been ripped off by Kaon. And now, a lot on Vornez's shoulders here, and the player in Hazard peeking out from heaven sees all the rest of them spamming down from range. Shouldn't be really doing as much as he is with the MP9, but not able to punish because they're on these Glocks, they're on these P250s, they don't have the range themselves. Aristratus chases Kaon down in secret as well, and that's the 12th round for Swansea Storm, expected really, but Bath A now able to compete.
The only time Bath A have played this map this season, they lost it 16-5 to the half-natty head tappers of Lancaster University. It looks like they might be able to... They might be replicating their performance almost exactly. Only achieving 5 rounds so far, so anything they can get on top of that, they're going to have done better. But Swansea, this is not what we're expecting. I know this was a map that they're comfortable with, and I felt like Bath A sort of messed up the draft a little bit, but Hazard trades with his teammate after falling. Vornez stepping up from secret, and Swansea's measured aggression from so many different vantage points. It's just really strong. Underneath from secret, on top, you know, from the CT spawn as well. You've got a player on hut. There's just so many different angles you need to check, but Rico, the real bright spot of a Bath A, is going to be the one to try and pull things through. Vornez steps out, but gets beaten by that man. And Rico, the star player, is just... He's dragging his team, kicking and screaming and saying, we will not lose. We will get one more on the board. UMP from range isn't going to be great for Aero. He's going to come through hut potentially, or he's going to back off as well. It's a viable with the equipment that he has. He could save this into the next round. But Bath A reply, they're going to break their record of just 5 rounds on Nuke, but they're still only halfway there to being able to tie with Swansea Storm White.
And actually, the last time these two teams played, Bath A were the ones that were winning. They did, in fact, win in overtime, so probably looking for a little bit of a better performance than this. Maybe want to give themselves a bit more to show for, at least. A couple of players not shown up on this map whatsoever, Peon being one of them. Never like to highlight the poorer performances, but at some point you have to address it. And when one player's playing out of their mind good in the form of Rico, shouldn't really be a player that's doing terribly, but there's a few of them lagging a little bit behind, and a timeout called by Swansea Storm White. Maybe want to have a little bit of a talk as to what they're going to do in this next round, how their buys are going to come through, what exactly their plans are. Need to maybe get on the same page. Aristratus on 4,000, double what his lowest teammate has in Hazard, so getting in the right frame of mind, knowing where they're going to buy in the future, more than likely.
And here we go, round 19. Eco buy for Swansea Storm. Then again, weaponry of Desert Eagles is just something you can't count out. The mini hand cannons. They can tear you a new one if you're not careful. Ethan is going to be waiting on lobby for any measured aggression. Kaon and Rico run out. This is what we're expecting from this Bath A side. Running and gunning, just tearing off heads left, right, and centre. Vornez and Hazard are the only two remaining. He's going to step out. He finds one with the CZ, but Reload catches him out. It's all on Hazard in this situation, and any damage he can do, any weapon he could potentially save would be fantastic for the CT side. But he's just going to play it patiently, just waiting in hut, seeing if Rome will push him first, or is he going to push? Actually, Hazard's going to step out. He might find the player behind him. I don't know what. Okay.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
Is he going for the knife, maybe?
That was questionable. I don't know,
Go for
maybe...
knife, smiley face. Sad face, sorry.
sad face. Like, I don't know what happened. I'm genuinely lost because he started firing and he might have whiffed it, but then he chose to jump. He switched to his knife and jump. Maybe it was a misclick and he just swapped to his knife by accident. As it's still going to play aggressive, and well, he's just found 2. So he's certainly putting a dent into the Barfay economy, which, if you look, isn't in a great spot despite them winning this round as well. They will have enough to buy up, but as much pressure they can apply and saving the AK into the next round is great for Swansea. That's, in a bad situation, that's the best scenario they could hope for.
Absolutely, and the players made sure that they were on the same page with that timeout, but the AK made life a lot easier for them. It's always nice to save a weapon as the CT side. Of course, that AK means that they will be able to one-shot, headshot the Bath A side, who all have picked up head armor, smartly so. The M4 can only kill in 1 if they don't buy it, so a good decision from them, and smoking off ramp early, but Kaon pushing through it might be able to catch a player by surprise here as he swings out, but Hazza ready for it. 2 players as well, maybe will get the player on ramp, but Rico runs away instead of facing further. 5 versus 4, and maybe a push coming out for the Bath side.
Utility thrown towards A. Yeah, I'm trying to find that angle for when there's spraying on through. Hazza, though, finds Ethan. Plays one of the player who's been more consistent for the Barfay side. Pion near Squeaky. He can kind of step out, but he's going to be walking into a nice crossfire. Vorne is going to back off behind the vent. And if there's any utility, which there is, a Molotov push through, but Wacky's going to be there saying, don't peek out. I've got you, fam. It's okay. A grenade's thrown through for good measure by Rico, but Wacky can step out. There's still another player below. He should realize that from the kill feed. He's picked off as well, and it's disastrous. Rowan with a double kill. And there's a 2-on-2 as the bomb looks like it's going to be planted. Mullen's just going to step out. He swaps to the AK, and this is just a hero play by the Wizard for the Swansea side, and he's causing a storm, and it's bringing down Barfay. It's raining, Bath is overflowing, it's cracked, it's leaking, and they're 2 rounds away from being on that point for Swansea. Barfay are looking, they're certainly looking better, but it's still pretty abysmal at this point.
I mean, at least they've got over 5 rounds. I usually say that anything less than 8, and you might not want to have shown up at all. But Swansea Storm hoping to clear this one out. Traded 1 for 1. Good for the T side. Actually, Kaon getting another kill on top of that. And Bath A showing Swansea that whatever they can do better, of course. Swansea, the whole first half, being very aggressive with their play. And now Aerostratus going to be walking into a double stack outside. Ethan gets the kill. And now Wacky Zip stuck on the site. Nowhere to go as Rico peeks him. A very disadvantaged spot to be hiding on that site there. Rico gets the kill, and Bath pick up their 8th round. Very impressive stuff from them as they sprint out and absolutely dominate outside.
Barfay patching up the leaks, and that's firmly in the hands of Rico's 26-13. This guy is on a 2KD and an absolute tear in the server. Such a ripper of a performance. Frag grenade thrown out onto long, not going to really tag anyone. Ethan jumps up onto the box above the smoke. Merlin's able to find one. He's not good for any more than that. Now Aerostrat is just holding. He's pushed quite aggressively up. This might catch some of the T-side players out in lobby, but Kaon is going to be waiting. There is a player above the ladder as well waiting. Yeah, Pion picks him off, just holding that push just in case. It's so common that the CTs will kind of do it as a desperation play, or sometimes as just a measured aggression. He's going to push it through. Wacky's trying to hold on, but not as good as Rico with the Desert Eagle. He's going to be picked off from every single side. Hazard is just waiting. He finds one. He finds a second, and he actually switches to the AK. This is suddenly doable. Rico whiffs the shot, and Hazard might be able to beat this round. Pion is waiting behind, but with Rico as well, they take him down, and Bath A get their 9th round.
Team play's looking a lot better from Bath as well. It was something that maybe we missed out on a bit in the first half. They didn't look superb as a unit, but now showing that they can work together, that they have been working together, and they have been doing some practice in the meantime, more than likely. And so coming in from both angles at the same time, peaking at the same time, it's not something that you do just instinctively for a lot of players, but Bath clearly got the comms going, or do have that mental understanding with one another, and forcing Swansea Storm onto a full eco. They're pushing through as well, Swansea on the ramp, and it's not really working out for them. Bath A trying to abuse outside as best they can, and Swansea Storm taking a position that Bath A didn't really want anyway.
A player down, it's going to be difficult for Swansea, though. Suddenly, if they start hemorrhaging even more players. So 3 on 5, and this is essentially a bonus round for Bath A, so we'll be able to get to double digits unless something spectacular happens. But now it really depends on if Vornes can find some kind of secret little action, find Rico potentially looking the wrong way at the wrong time, but Rico's so quick on that. 28 kills. Yes, it's a bonus round, but the flick was really nice. He's not going to get a second one. He does the 360 with a Des Eagle as well. Hazard might reply with that AK, and he can take this one potentially to win the round. Not upset. No, the bomb gets planted, but you can certainly save this AK, and that's at least something.
Yeah, well, something indeed. You've got to take little victories when you're on the CT side. The money, never, ever good, really. You don't have that same luxury that the T side have. Of course, if the Ts lose, they can... Oh my word, what a spray down from Hazard there, getting 2. But on the T side, if you lose a round and you get the bomb down, you get an extra $800 to your name. You don't get that when you're the CTs. You don't get the $2,700 weapons. You've got to pay over $3,000 for yours. You've got to pay more for almost every single piece of equipment. So, you know, the Molotovs are a huge part of this map, especially for that A side hold. They cost even more than they do on the T side. So Swansea will be happy to save that AK in the meantime.
Now Swansea in a pretty good position to start to close this game out, and this is their real test, because look at the buy-up now. Not much money remaining, just on Hazard, but with that AK save, that's certainly a lot of firepower. Keeping in the hands of Hazard, the second kill leader in the league so far. Merlin's going to be waiting for any potential push into secret, but Hazard with the aggression into lobby. Rowan's usually the player who has to keep it alongside Peon. Ethan's going to try and contest Merlin. Merlin backs off, throws a flash just for good measure. He's actually going to re-peek it. No, you can see he's kind of two-stepping either way, not sure whether to commit. But he actually baits out a lot of utility by the Bath A side. And that means Swansea can kind of sit pretty, and it's reaching a halfway mark. Swansea can kind of just wait and play the time. Play the time down and force Bath A into an unfavourable position, but Rico's still on the board with that AWP. He's such an incredible player. He's waiting. Just as we hype him up, he whiffs the shot, but Vornes is there. He could step out any moment through the smoke. He's not choosing to. He just misses Rico. He can't step out in case there's another T-side player waiting. Kaon's there. Should be able to get him in the back. He's not checking Rico's back. Rico, their star player, gets picked off, and that's disastrous for the Bath A side. They could be sent to the lower bracket just off of that one play there. It's a 3 versus 5 with 30 seconds remaining, and Swansea Storm White are looking pretty at the moment.
Disappointing from the Bath side. I was talking about their good communication, their good team play in the other round, and then they let that one happen, losing Rico, of course, a player that they've been relying on. 20 seconds left in the round as well. Look like they're going to be pushing out onto the A site. Vornes here to hold it. Wacky Zip here to hold it as well. And now Ethan coming in from heaven. Vornes catches him out, though. Peon tries to peek from the right-hand side of sight, but 3, maybe even 4 of the Swansea Storm players all crowded round, ready for every single one of them, and win the round very convincingly there.
Now, Bath A calling a timeout. Can we get a confirmation that's a tactical, or is that a technical timeout? Okay, tactical timeout it is for Bath A. So maybe using their precious timeouts a little too late. Yes, it's a best of one. You should be using all 4, really, to try and get the team on the same page. This would have been very effective in the first half, especially when they're on the CT side.
Oh, that looks like it's a technical this time as well.
Oh, yep, now it's drifted into a technical. So maybe it wasn't a tactical to begin with. It was just a technical problem and they called the wrong kind of pause. But let's look at the leaderboard real quick. Rico, 29 kills and 15. He's just below that 2 KD. Rowan and Kaon have sort of woken up a little bit. Ethan's been pretty consistent. Peon's still lagging behind the rest of the side. But then you look at Swansea, very consistent. So you've got 3 players standing out, Merlin, Vornes and Hazard. an arrow. He's only got 13 kills, but 13 deaths. He's been such a playmaker. He's usually late in the rounds. So after the rest of the team have gone, he's usually flashing in his team, and then he'll step out and he'll clutch out the round. Definition of impact. And Wacky is sort of playing a support role. He's 12 and 19, but he's doing his job. He's winning his ones when it counts. And Swansea, 2 rounds away from winning. Not what we both... I mean, when we saw the map, we're like, this gives the edge to Swansea. But still, Barfay's a very good side. We weren't expecting, especially that first half, to be that dominant by Swansea.
Absolutely. And a few of the players on the Swansea side look, I mean, sitting very pretty. 22 kills, 21 kills, of course, on Hazard and Merlin, respectively. Meanwhile, on Bath 8, a lot less well grouped, should we say. There's a couple of players that may be lagging behind a bit more than you would expect at this stage in the game, especially on our 25th round. Taking this one to the wire a little bit more than maybe we were expecting. The T side seems to have been the side seems to be the side that the teams prefer at the moment. Of course, Bath won the majority of their rounds, I think, on the T side so far. Swansea Storm as well.
Absolutely. Vornes. They pressured. Ethan wins that out, immediately traded by Wacky. I highlighted him as an impact player. He's not high on the leaderboard, but he doesn't have to. He gets the kills where it counts most, and he's rotating around. He's got a teammate there to back him up if there is some kind of A push, but it looks like they're leaning towards rotating through Radio and Trophy towards B ramp. Aerostratus is going to be ready and waiting. There is a smoke there, waiting till it dissipates, till it fades. He's going to throw some more utility out. Peek it. No one's going to reveal themselves jumping around, and here's the push out. No utility. They're going to go in dry. He finds one. Rico, what a kill onto him as well. 29 and 16. Just decimated, and he's no longer in play. And that's disastrous for the Barfay side. They're going to be jumping down. Aerostratus is going to be ready and waiting. And you can see how hesitant they are with no utility. Actually, they've got plenty of utility. I don't get why they dry peaked that. That was so unnecessary. And Barfay might have just spelt their own doom. Swansea Storm White can kind of just hold for the next 40 seconds with a man advantage and similar utility as well. They're in a very, very good spot to try and pull through this round. You can see Barfay kind of deciding where to rotate. They look a little bit lost as we hit the 30-second mark.
And there's plenty of ways that you can go out onto ramp. Of course, you can smoke off the ramp itself and then flash in so that you can see hell, but Bath deciding not to do it, delegating that to a member of the team that isn't there and not getting anything for it. But Kaon now pushing onto the site. Actually, all 3 of them. Kaon getting the first kill, and the site has instantly been lost. Merlin tried to spam through, might get Rico through the smoke, but Hazard, in fact, shows up from a different angle. Gets all 3 of the players. Didn't quite see it on screen there. But Swansea Storm absolutely annihilating them, and Bath might want to call a tactical timeout at this point to discuss exactly what went wrong in that round.
Man, Swansea Storm White 1 round away from not only continuing in the upper bracket of the Newell Varsity playoffs spring 2021, but also 1 round away from sending Barfay into losers. And they're going to get pressured pretty damn hard. Look at the buys as well coming out. Just flashbangs. 1 smoke in the hands of Rico. And already they've lost 1. That's Peon. The bottom fragger on the server. Taken out, so not a huge amount of firepower lost. No love there, but Vornes finds Kaon, and that's the second one that's going down for Barfay. Not able to translate into anything. Rico, their top fragger, and it's all left into the hands of Ethan. Sitting here with a UMP. It's not going to be pretty. Swansea Storm White come through, and they will advance further in the upper bracket of the playoffs for the Varsity playoffs of Newell 2021 Spring Split. Bath A, commiserations to them. They're actually going to be working their way down through the lower bracket. Going to have to make a run through there. And from this point onwards, every single series is a best of 3 until the finals. So it's going to be long, it's going to be brutal, and it's going to be difficult for these teams.
Absolutely. It's not going to be easy, especially for Bath A after losing that one. A lot on the line for that best of 1. Of course, still in the competition, but not in with the best of chances of winning unless they can overcome all of the odds now. They've got to be very on form to get to the end. And, you know, it's a team that have got ability in them. We saw Rico play incredibly well in that matchup. I think he almost hit 30 kills, you know, just faltering a little bit at the end when it really counted. So definitely have a chance of progressing all the way to the finals, but need to show that they really have that desire, that hunger that a lot of the other teams have.
Yeah, they took a while to get going, and it kind of you saw how many rounds that they were hemorrhaging in that first half when they were on CT side. It's nuke, it's CT. We said it like 5 times, and kind of letting so many rounds go, only winning 6 rounds, it just isn't good enough for this level, any level of competition, and not good enough for nuke. And you've got to kind of look back at where was that game lost? Was it not being fully warmed up going into it? Was it the map veto process? What really caused the problem there? Barfay is not going to have long though to consider that, because they will be playing another best of 3. These guys have a busy schedule tonight. Speaking of busy schedules, you guys are going to get best of 3 as well. So we're going to throw to a quick break, and hopefully we'll be back later as we're into a best of 3, as we move into the best of 3 series in this Varsity playoffs with the Newell. Don't go anywhere. We shall see you shortly.